Hi everyone, my name is Amber, welcome back to my channel. This is my January book haul. So I have a huge bunch of books here to show you, although I actually only bought 2 myself, kind of. If you have already seen my 2021 goals video, you'll know that I'm trying not to buy as many books this year and that I'm trying to reduce the amount of books on my TBR bookshelf because it's a whole bookshelf rather than just like a pile and it's stressing me out. So I'm trying to read more from that. But I did get some books from friends, I got some books from the library, I got some books from publishers, and I also went and got some of my old books from my granddad's house. So this is why we now have a book haul so soon into the year, even though I said I wasn't going to buy as many. So I'm going to start with the books that I got from publishers. There are only 3 of them. By the time this video goes up, hopefully I have already read them. First one comes out on the 12th of January and that is Siri, Who Am I? This is an adult contemporary book about a millennial woman who gets into a coma and loses her, or gets into an accident and loses her memory. She's only able to figure out kind of who she is by looking at her iPhone. It says here that based on her cool hairstyle, her dress, her signature lipstick, she says that she's wealthy, but the only way to know for sure is to retrace her steps once she leaves the hospital. I'm expecting to really enjoy this one. I'm really in the mood for an adult contemporary at the moment, so hopefully this one will be really good. Then we have 2 books that are coming out in February. First one is This Is Not the Jess Show. I always struggle to say that. This is about a young girl, teenager called Jess, who is currently living in 1998. People around her start acting a little bit weird and then an iPhone falls out of her friend's pocket. And obviously iPhones haven't been invented yet, so Jess has to figure out what the heck is going on. And I'm really looking forward to reading it. It sounds a lot like The Truman Show, which is a film that I rewatched over and over again as a child, and this one comes out on the 2nd of February. This next one is going to be a really popular one and I'm going to be doing a full review on it once I have read it, and that is The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp. Obviously this cover doesn't really show you much, but the final cover looks kind of like this. And this is a YA thriller by Tess Sharp, who wrote a YA thriller quite a few years ago now, and it was actually one of my favourites of the year back then. That one was called Far From You. Really good, would highly recommend it. This one, I'm not really sure what it's about. The main character, Nora, I think she has had different lives before now, in that maybe her mother has made her pretend to be someone else and is perhaps a con artist. I know that this is also being turned into a TV show starring Millie Bobby Brown. I'm hoping this is going to be really fast paced. If it's anything like Tess Sharp's previous thriller, I'm going to really enjoy it. So those are the 3 books that I got from publishers. I also got some e-arcs, but I'm not going to show those in today's video. I can always do a separate one. If you'd be interested in that, let me know in the comments below. Next, I'm going to show you the book that I got from a friend for Christmas. So I received To Be Taught, If Fortunate by Becky Chambers from my friend Kerry, who is my secret Santa. This is Becky Chambers' novella, which isn't part of the Wayfarers series, but it's still a really emotional sci-fi book. So I've already read this one. Actually, I received it as an e-arc ages ago and I put it on my wish list because I love Becky Chambers books. In fact, I'm trying to read all of them in January, including her newest one, which is coming out in February, so that's going to be fun. So this novella follows a bunch of scientists and space explorers, I guess you could call them, as they go and explore 4 different planets to kind of figure out what the life is like there. It says here that as they shift through time, life back on Earth has also changed. Faced with the possibility of returning to a planet that has forgotten those who have left, Ariadne begins to chronicle the wonders and dangers of her journey in the hope that someone back home is still listening. This one made me really emotional. I love Becky Chambers books. I would highly recommend picking this up if you haven't already. Okay, and then we have some books that I bought myself, just 2 actually, because I'm being really good. I actually bought these 2 back in December, just before Christmas, and I had reasons for buying both, so I actually put some thought into what I was doing. The first one is Good Girl, Bad Blood. This is the sequel to The Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, and I gave that one 5 stars and then bought this one immediately after finishing it. So the first book follows a young girl called Pip who lives in Buckinghamshire, which is the county that I live in, and she is investigating a closed case, a murder that she doesn't think was solved properly. She gets into a bit of trouble. It's very fast paced. I loved it. And then this book follows Pip a bit later on, now that she has a very popular true crime podcast. Someone asks her to help out because their sibling is missing, and so she once again gets involved in a crime case, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. It's very good. I've read this one already and I loved it. I gave this one 4 stars. I gave Good Girl's Guide to Murder 5, but this one was still really good. The next one I bought is one that I got because it was on sale, and I had my my eye on it for the longest time, but I couldn't justify spending, I think it was originally like £17 on a hardback, and so I was waiting for it to go on sale a bit, and it did. So that is The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett, which was a very popular book back in 2020. I say back in 2020 as though that was ages ago. It was a couple of weeks ago. This is about two siblings. One is, well, they're both black, but one is white passing, and the one sibling stays within the black community, the other one leaves and kind of continues to pass as white. It says here that one sister lives with her black daughter in the same southern town she once tried to escape. Across the country, the other secretly passes for white, and her white husband has no idea of her past. The fates of the twins remains intertwined. What will happen when their own daughter's storylines intersect? I really enjoy generational stories. I spoke about this in my best books of 2020 video when I spoke about homegoing. Love generational stories. So if this follows, first of all, the two sisters and then the two cousins, I'm going to love it. And it's quite a short book. It shouldn't take me long to read. I'm going to try to read this by the end of January, or at least the beginning of February. Next, I have a bunch of books that I bought myself, but I bought them years ago. So these are all ones that were staying at my granddad's house until I moved into a place that had enough bookshelf space for them, because previously I was living in a flat. But I'm doing a buddy read of this entire series in 2021. So I went over there and grabbed the books that I had. I didn't go into the house or anything. He left these on the doorstep for me. And that is the first, not the first, books 2 to 7 in the Women of the Other World series by Kelly Armstrong. So the first one, Bitten, is one that I read in December. We are reading Stolen in January, and then we're reading the rest of the series, one each month, for the rest of the year. If you'd like more information on this read along, let me know and I will link you to everything and you can join in with us. So as well as Stolen, I can't remember which order these go in, but we have Dime Store Magic, Industrial Magic. I think I preferred these two to the previous two because Elena just wasn't that interesting as a werewolf character. And then somehow in here we have No Humans Involved, we have Haunted, which I guess is about a ghost, I think called Eve, and then we have Broken, which I think follows Elena again. So I'm looking forward to reading this series, rereading this series, and also finishing off, because I think I got up to No Humans Involved last time and then I just stopped. So I'm gonna have to buy the rest of the series at some point this year, but it won't have to be for at least 6 months. And then finally we have a very short library haul, because I went to the library before we went into tier 4 and I picked up a bunch of books that I've been meaning to read for ages. I didn't have to spend any money on them, so that was great. The first one is called A Girl Called Shameless. This is YA contemporary. It's the sequel to the exact opposite of OK. That one is about a main character who is slut shamed because she's caught on video making out with a guy, and then the guy doesn't suffer any consequences for it. It's all on her, and it's a fun feminist story. I really enjoyed it, and this is the sequel. So I'm going to recap the first book first for recap tins, and then I'm going to get around to this one. Beach Read, which is super popular at the moment, at least it was back in 2020. This is about two writers who go to the same holiday retreat resort. They are both in writing slumps, so they decide to kind of swap genres, write each other's genre, and then I think they fall in love, as you do. Then we have The Girls by Emma Cline. This is an adult thriller. I think this is about the Manson women. However, I don't know if it's just based on them or if it's actually about them. It says here that the main character, Evie Boyd, is 14 and desperate to be noticed. She notices the girls, hair long and uncombed, jewelry catching the sun, and at their centre, Suzanne, black-haired and beautiful. Evie follows the girls back to the decaying ranch where they live. Was there a warning sign, a sign of what was coming? Or did Evie know already that there was no way back? I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I'm hoping it's going to be dark and super creepy, although I don't actually know many people who have read it, so let me know in the comments below if you've read this and if you enjoyed it. Next we have a book that I hadn't actually heard of, but I found it in the library and so I picked it up. I'm really terrible at impulsively just picking books up at the library, even though I don't really know much about them. Anyway, so this one is The First Woman. This one is about a young girl who grows up in a village in Uganda, and she is surrounded by women who are powerful. Still, the main character wants to kind of rebel and go against the norm, and the women around her are trying to get her to kind of conform and follow the rules, but she doesn't want to. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I've not read a book set in Uganda. I'm hoping it's going to be really, really good. And then finally we have a book that was kind of popular at the beginning of 2020, and then I didn't really see anything about it ever again. So that is Docile, however you want to pronounce it in British English. This is a dystopian book in which I think the working class have to kind of work as sex slaves, or just slaves, I think sex slaves, in order to then uplift themselves out of said working class. The tagline says there is no consent under capitalism, and then has a super creepy cover. It says here that Alicia's family has been ruined by debt handed down to them from previous generations. His mother never recovered when she took a term as a docile, so when Alicia tries to erase the family's debt himself, he swears he will never take the drug that took his mother from him. So I think the main character goes to work for a super rich family, and I'm really looking forward to reading it actually. I know that Maddie really enjoyed this one, but I also know some other people who couldn't really get into it, so I think it's a bit hit and miss, but I'm looking forward to reading it, and I'm glad that I got it from the library instead of buying it myself. So these are all of the books that I got, and I only bought 2 of them myself. Ooh, it's gonna fall. So I'm quite pleased with that. I'm hoping to carry on doing some book hauls in 2021, although I'm not sure I'll be buying as many books. There'll probably be books from publishers and from the library rather than books I bought. However, if you've seen my goals video, then you'll know that for every 3 books that I read from my bookshelf, my TBR shelf, I am buying 1 book. So since I tend to read 10 to 15 books each month, I should still be doing actual book hauls. And so you don't have to worry, you can still subscribe for more content from me. There'll be plenty of it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Bye.